Why am I doing this? I have an outline here, but this needs to be off the cuff. Okay, so another. That looks about right. Okay, so another important puzzle piece to the videos that I'm putting out. Why am I doing this shit? I might have alluded to it in the other videos, but in short, the reason I'm doing this is because I didn't see my wife. In short, the reason I'm doing this is because I was not allowed. So, begs the question of why am I doing this? And I've kind of alluded to it here and there in some videos. But let me address it full on. And in short, I was not allowed to be with my wife when my son was born in 2021. In long, so let's go back to 2021. And my wife is far enough along to where we got go bags. And one night she says, hey, it's go time. Get the bags, get our daughter, get in the car, go to the hospital. I drop her off and I leave to drop our daughter off at my in-laws. So they'll watch her. I drive back to the hospital, get in, get checked in. And so I get to the hospital, I get in, I get checked in. However, that day and a couple days prior, we had a fever and we're feeling kind of crappy. We called ahead to see, hey, what's the policy? Because this was 2021 and things were kind of kooky. And they said, well, you can't really come in if you have a fever. And I wanted to get in anyways. So when we get to the part where, like, the section where my wife was, a nurse comes out behind these giant double locked doors and says, hey, we know you still have a fever. I'm sorry, but our policy is we can't let you in. It's just a risk for everybody here. And nothing I could do. So head my ass back home. And I don't know what was worse. I don't know if it was worse that I didn't get to see my son be born, that I wasn't allowed to, or that I tried to rationalize it afterwards. Because afterwards I thought to myself, like, yeah, this kind of makes sense. It's probably better for the best for everybody. The policy's there for a reason. They came up with it. They're smarter than me, blah, blah, blah. I was being a little bitch, is what I was doing. Before that, when COVID just started, I was genuinely afraid of it. Nobody knew exactly what was going on. And if you remember, we had the whole essential workers thing going on, right? And at some point shortly after COVID kind of became a thing, our company started handing out letters to us. And my company, this was when I was working as an engineer for a company that built not bottling plants, but plants that make the cans. At least that's the part that I focused on. And so we were tied to the food industry, and we got a letter saying, if you get pulled over, hey, officer, I'm a essential worker. I need to get to where I'm going to keep things moving, right? And when I got this letter, I was relieved and happy. I was relieved and happy that I was allowed to work by Big Brother. You understand how big of a bitch you have to be to let another man, another institution get between you and your butter, your bread and butter? Yeah, I was happy. I was like, yay, I got my little stamp. I can work. I watched what they did to Trump. What else do I got here? Yeah. I watched what they did to Trump. I watched what the Canadian government did to the truckers and their supporters. I watched my paycheck be diminished through no action of my own by inflation. I watched gun rights getting just stripped. I watched innocent blood get spilled in the Capitol. That was kind of jarring. That was weird. That whole January 6th thing initially, yeah. I watched every single election the voting was questioned. Everything from fucking hanging chads to, the spike in Michigan with Trump and Biden. I watched the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. And I think for me, the straw that broke the camel's back was... Let me pull that up. How do I not have this? Yeah. The straw that broke the camel's back, for me, I think, was the State of the Union address. I think it was a State of the Union address. September 2021. When Biden told my grown-ass man self that his patience was wearing thin with me. He didn't address me directly, but he addressed people like me. People who didn't get the COVID shot. And for the record, it's a shot, not a fucking vaccine. We're just having meetings. Let's fucking use them appropriately. He told me his patience was wearing thin. And I fucking better get the shot, or I'm going to get treated like cattle and tested for COVID every week or two, or whatever his fucking dumbass policy was. That's it. I'm done being a little bitch. I think I'm fucking done. Something has to be done. Because all of this happened, the whole Trump thing and then the Biden thing and the COVID thing, as I was becoming a father. And brothers and sisters, let me tell you, becoming a parent changes you. Your priorities go from whatever bullshit priorities you got to fucking thrown out the window, and now you have a priority. Everything else is just kind of secondary. So that the curtain being pulled back in regards to the media and how politics really works, the waste of our money, the brutality of politics, it all kind of coincided to just making me not snap, but making a decision where from here on forward, I got to do something about this. So, yeah. And the problem is, at the core of it is, it's just a constant corrupt fight by the government against its people for control. I was born in Yugoslavia. I ran from this shit, and this shit seems to... I'm not a historian, but it seems to only end in one way. And I don't want that for my kids, because there's nowhere else to run. There's no better country to run to. This is the best. And we got to make this work. I don't want to think about alternatives. So then begs the question, why governorship in particular? Why this path? Why not activism or something else? I think governorship will have the largest impact, or have a snowball's chance in hell of actually attaining governorship. So I think through that I can get in and pull some levers, or at least build a foundation or be a spark for a less corrupt government. Just something that's above and beyond just activism. And not shitting on activists or anything like that. Everybody has a role to play. I just think I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I can hope to achieve this. Because so many of us are, like, again, I'm not trying to brag or anything. I got lucky and I worked hard enough. I don't know if I can say I worked my ass off and if I worked more than I was lucky or what, but I achieved the American dream. But the problem is I can't sit by idle and enjoy that while there's obvious signs that my kids' futures are going to be just garbage because of these moronic actions. If not me, then who? If not now, then when? That's kind of the mentality behind it. Where was I going with this? And so, yeah, I achieved the American dream. And this is not something that I want to do. Because God knows being governor sounds like the dumbest fucking job on the planet that only... And here's, I think, what part of the problem is. I think it only appeals to psychopaths and egomaniacs. Because if I do this... Let me pause this. Because if I do this right, if this is done right, you're talking about a position of servitude. Is that a word? Of being a servant. And it's going to be a trifecta from hell. If I do this right, I'm going to become famous. I'm not going to become rich, or at least any richer than I already am. The pay is nice. But again, not to fucking brag. This is just putting things in perspective to have a reference point. I make comparable money now. I am lucky and blessed to be where I'm at with my wife and kids and financially and everything. But if I do this right, none of that will change. It's just going to be status quo. Except now, I'll be famous, not any richer, and divisive. People are going to hate me or love me. And that just sounds like shit, because on top of that, then you throw on the fact that, what is the job day to day? It's fucking meetings and bureaucrats and fucking legislation that looks like it has fucking hieroglyphs on it, written by insane people who only write it as complicated as possible so that they have a job, so that lawyers can get paid out to read something that you can't fucking comprehend because they may as well have written it in their own goddamn language. Oh yeah, sign me up for that shit, chief. What the fuck? The only way it's great is if you're a fucking psychopath and you just want the power over people, and on top of that, you make your millions. Like, I don't know, damn near every single politician out there who makes so much more money above their salary. And on top of that, all they do is fucking half their time. I think statistically speaking, half their time is spent on campaigning. If I do this right, I'm not going to get any richer. I'm going to be divisive. And I'm going to be famous. And that sounds like fucking hell. And that's before even talking about the day-to-day of this job. You have to be a proper psychopath to want this shit. Oh, it's fucking cold. So I fucking went off on a rant. I don't know if I even covered why I'm doing. I did, yeah. Why I'm doing this. It has to be done. We can't keep going down this path. We need people to step up. And for the love of God, if somebody steps up preaching similar things that I'm fucking Audi 5000, man. I do not want, need. I do care for this, but only to the extent that it affects the environment that my kids are going to grow up in, which is America. Yeah. And on my website, I list off a couple of alternatives. That's plan A, governorship. Plan B, sit by idle. Just move somewhere remote and just ignore politics. No, that doesn't work. Again, at least I would like to think so. Maybe 20 years from now, I'm going to look back on this and be like, I was a fucking idiot, wasting my fucking time, my sanity. And this is embarrassing, by the way. This shit is fucking embarrassing. If, people get to watch you blabber into a camera, opening yourself up for plan B being ignoring politics. I'm not sure that's going to work so well because it seems to always catch up with us, doesn't it? It doesn't matter how remote you live. What was that shooting? The one where the guy had a sawed-off, he was a veteran, had a sawed-off shotgun or something, and the ATF and FBI or whoever the fuck shot his son and his dog and his wife or something all over like a sawed-off shotgun or something. God dang it, it's not coming to mind right now. Man, that guy was remote, way the fuck out there somewhere. Or even no matter how rich you are. Look at China. Was it the Tencent CEO, I think? Like a multi-billionaire, like tens of billions of dollars this guy had. And he started not even necessarily talking shit, but just mentioned a few things that were, not ideal of China. And next thing you know, he disappears for a month and comes back preaching the CCP is great and everything. So I don't think there's a hiding from this kind of stuff. And then Plan C involves bloodshed, and we cannot have that. My parents ran from that shit. I do not want to see my kids go through that. And like I mentioned before, where do you run to? I have no idea how this video is going to turn out. I was all over the place there. Probably a little too emotional. It felt like I was bragging half the fucking time. Like, oh, I have it fucking great. Please don't take it that way. The main point with that is I fucking don't want to do this shit. This sucks. It's fucking cold. I could be inside fucking ripping and tearing, playing some Doom, but no, instead I'm fucking talking to myself here practically. What else? Why am I doing this? I have an outline here, but this needs to be off the cuff. I think I covered all bases. Shit, am I getting sick? I got the cold sweats. I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, I think that's all of it. I'm doing it because I don't see enough of us stepping up and doing it the right way. Brendan Herrera, he ran at this. And that's inspirational. I want to see more Brendan Herreras. So I'm trying to be one. His hair is not as good as mine, though, I don't think. What do you guys think, huh? God, I got nothing. We'll see how this works out in edit. Why am I doing this? Oh yeah, and I guess to put a bow on it, if I do nothing, or even if I'm, again, not to shit on activists, but I feel I'm in a position where I can do more. If I'm on my deathbed and my kids are worse off than I am in terms of their freedoms, and it all boils down to opportunities, having the opportunity to speak your mind, having the opportunity to get certain jobs, having the opportunity to, I don't know, eat food because your government isn't fucking insane and throwing people in the gulag and whatever insane crap the Soviets did and starved a bunch of people. I don't want to be on my deathbed, see my kids have worse opportunities than me, knowing I could have at least tried. So that's why I'm doing this. I gotta at least try. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.